My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC picks and DraftKings lineups run by professional fighters and MMA insiders. Every week, I join Nick Newell, professional fighter, professional model, and ESPN top 10 guest, along with Dan Kramer, UFC fighter, Bellator fighter, Ultimate Fighter alumni, and Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. And we break down every single fight, the betting odds, the DraftKings picks, and we set you up for success. Next up at UFC Fight Night, Edwards versus Muhammad, we have Rani Yahya versus Ray Rodriguez, in what is an unbelievable grappler versus, an all right mixed martial artists. These odds I do agree with. These prices I do agree with. Nick, I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree that these guys are sort of miles apart, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, Rani Yahya, I've seen drop people and submit them before. I wouldn't say he's a great striker, but I'd say he's not completely lost. It's not like he shuts his eyes and just starts throwing punches, and if he doesn't get it, he loses. I've seen fights where he can't get the takedown, and he holds his own striking. He doesn't get knocked out. He doesn't win, but he does his thing. And I think that Ray Rodriguez isn't really like what you said. He's an MMA fighter. But he's got no specialty. I'd say maybe more of a striker. But his last fight, once Kelleher threw some heat at him, he shot on Kelleher right away and got choked. And everyone knows not to shoot a double leg on Kelleher against the wall. I mean, you could take the fight on one day's notice and know that that's not a good idea, especially not in the first round with his guillotine. And I think that Rani Yahya has the wrestling to get it down. The real way to beat Rani Yahya is to be a better wrestler than him. People that can out-wrestle him can outstrike him or take him down and be on top, and he will lose the grappling matches if he's on his back. But he will not be on his back this fight. He will be on top. He will get the takedown. He will get the submission. I am putting him in my lineup, $100 on Yahya. I bet the house on this one. So maybe I'll be wrong, but this is like, as soon as I saw this, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take this one.
Yeah, I agree with you across the board. I mean, anytime somebody's as good at something as Hani is, and the opponent isn't as good at that or anything else, I think it's a pretty big mismatch, especially when you have grappling versus, the only way Ray Rodriguez can win this fight is if he lands a couple big shots. And like you mentioned, it's not like Rani Yahya is just like closing his eyes and diving at a leg. He'll actually trade with you and do really well. So I just don't see Ray Rodriguez winning this fight. He'll need to just make it real dirty on his feet in order to do that. I don't see him defending takedowns. I don't see him being good enough on his feet to make that happen. Dan, I'll go to you. Anything to add here? Or are you pretty much in line with Nick and I?
No, I agree with everything you guys said for the most part. It's funny. I was watching the tape on Rodriguez, and I was like, all right, he's 3-3 in his last 6, but his losses were to Brian Kelleher on short notice, Tony Gravely, who's very tough, and Chris Gutierrez. Like, oh man, maybe he's just got 2, 3 tough losses. But then I kind of continued watching, and he looks like he's good, but his striking has holes. He's got some powerful kicks, but he leaves his hands down. He was taken down a couple times. His last win is against a guy who's 10-9, and he was taken down, I think, a few times in that fight, held down for half a round. He ended up getting a sweep. It was a lot of sloppy exchanges. So if he got taken down by a 10-9 Perez and they had back and forth ground exchanges, if Rani Yahya takes him down, it's going to be all over. Yahya, I was like looking, I'm like, man, he's got to be up there in age. And he's only 36, which I know isn't young, but it's not really as old as you'd think with how long he's been around. So he's only fought twice in the past 2 years. He lost to Ricky Simone, which is, Ricky Simone is as tough as they come. And he had a draw to Enrique Barzola last March, who was the tough Latin America winner, and apparently was a really good wrestler. I watched the fight. He won that first round. And like I think you said it, Angelo, or Nick may have said it, even if he doesn't get the takedown, he figures out ways to take a missed takedown to get a scramble and end up on top or on the ground. Similar to Damian Maia, right? Shoots for that single leg, doesn't get it, he'll pull half guard. He's got tricky little ways to just make the fight get to where he needs to be. And then his striking, it's definitely not technical, but he can stand and trade and he lands powerful shots. So I think Rani Yahya should definitely win this fight. He's training at American Top Team now, so I'm going for him. I will say his last fight, the fight against Barzola, he looked really tired in the third round. So I know there's a lot of time off in between fights. So I'm hoping now that he's going to be staying a little bit more active. He's training at ATT. He'll be in good shape. I see him winning this fight. I think he's going to snag a single leg off of a kick or something, get a takedown. And even if he doesn't get a takedown, he'll create some sort of scramble and get to his back. I don't think Ray Rodriguez has near enough jiu-jitsu skills to survive. And I think Yahya is definitely going to win the fight. As far as DraftKings goes, he's $9,200, so you're really banking on a decision at this point. So I'm going to see if I can get him in there, but I'm not sure if I'm putting him in my lineup yet.
Yeah, you said banking a decision. I think you meant submission.
Sorry. Yeah, I meant submission. Sorry. You're banking on a submission for $9,200, which I think he'll probably get, but you never know. Ray Rodriguez probably has one thing in mind this training camp, to not get submitted. So,
yeah, I actually moved things around to squeeze him in my lineup because that is expensive. And I also have another giant 9,000 plus favorite. So I did move things around. That's why earlier I picked a big dog at $6,900 for my lineup, but we'll talk about that in the full DraftKings video. But Jacob, you're a world-class grappler, trained for years. What are your thoughts on this? And how do you see your fellow black belt in Rani Yahya doing in this fight?
I love how you call him Rani Yahya and Raid Rodriguez to start this.
I'm listen, and I get skewered in the comments for how I pronounce these things. So it is.
You called him Raid.
Listen, he's he looks like he kills bugs. I don't know.
In this little exchange, we missed that Dan's apparently new thing is hashtag cardio of the week. I'm getting tired of every time there's a big favorite. He's like, well, he could get tired.
I mean,
go ahead and say it again.
Saw the video. Don't make Angelo put together another we tried to warn you video. All right.
Anyway. My favorite stat about Yahya is he hasn't been finished in 10 years. And you guys mentioned this. That means you can fight your fight. If you haven't been finished, you know how to get to the fight where you want to get the fight. Ray Rodriguez wants to grapple. Yahya wants to grapple. Yahya is way better at grappling. I tried to work him into my lineup with my other picks that I like. I couldn't work him in, but I wish I could. He's definitely going to be a good pick, and I take the 290 for the 100 bones.
All right, so we're all pretty cut and dry fight. We'll see what ultimately ends up happening. I have him in my lineup, so I'm really looking for a submission there, but I don't think a win is questionable. Before you go, check out the description below. In there, we have links to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and more importantly, to our DraftKings League. Check out the league, join the league, participate in the contests, and as we get going and as you start winning, we're going to start handing out gift cards and participating and doing things like that. So check those out. Every week, there are drops on every fight card. So make sure you check out this channel and our social media on Saturday before the fights start so that you have our most updated lineups and picks.